If you look at his game log and you consider the build-up, like, Kluber's been good.
Really good. He's on a great path.
Which we didn't know pitching-wise. I know your concern's mostly tied to health, but you also had pretty significant concerns about pitching ability, and he's been pitching well.
I'm excited. He's a great number 2 right now. I've said from the start, if he's not the number 2 in the postseason, I don't think it's worth $10 million when we were only spending so much money. And I don't know. Like, for me to be like, well, now it's worth the $10 million would kind of be lying to everyone just to try and fit into Yankees' like hearts.
Oh,
that's
more than a fair statement.
But I said from the beginning of the season, if he's not the number 2 in the playoffs, I think it's a waste of $10 million.
Right.
We got to feel better about the odds.
The odds are much better. The odds went from like 5% to like 75%. Like my odds are way more improved on that.
Yeah.
The Rangers have been no hit before.
Right.
So like I wish you got to start against the White Sox, and then I'm excited when the Red Sox come to town, and I'm excited when we see the Blue Jays again.
The roller coaster this season will come back.
And the A's and the Astros again. Like I'm excited to start facing good lineups again.
In his last 5, and this is also when he made the switch to Higgy, which obviously we know there's mixed feelings about that, but since they switched to Higgy, 5 starts. The Yankees are 5-0. Corey's 4-0. 35.1 innings, a 1.78 ERA. Opponents are hitting 171. Baltimore, Detroit, Washington, Baltimore, Texas. So also not the elite in the American League. Nats are the NL. Shut up. That's your thought. Corey's been doing well. That's good.
Yeah, someone asked if I would have been more excited if it was Cole. And yes, because he's going to be here for 10 years. Corey Kluber's not going to come back next year. All likelihood.
Kluber
in 5 years, we'll be like, oh, yeah, remember that year? It's kind of going to be like Brandon McCarthy or Freddie Garcia, where you're like, oh, yeah, Freddie Garcia was a Yankee for 1 year. He had a really good season.
I think
or Bartolo Colon, I'm trying to say, because they re-signed Freddie.
Freddie came back.
I think the expectations of this season, you're right. I mean, it does leave little gray area. Like, if he pitches really good this season, and this was a question I asked you before the season because I was interested, if Kluber had like a really good regular season, but he wasn't a part of the postseason, was it worth it? And I don't know. It would have to be really good, and like you'd have to have saved the other pitchers a lot of innings, and they look good. But yeah, I mean, Corey Kluber, those names you mentioned.
If he's not a playoff pitcher?
Well, let me finish. Those names you mentioned, if Corey Kluber goes out this year and is special in the playoffs, I think he kind of goes in a different tier of kind of Yankees lore.
100%.
Yeah, than the other guys you mentioned.
Yes, he would need to do that. But that's what I said from the start. I'm not really changing.
No.
I'm being very true to what I've been saying this whole time. Like, in 6 years, you're like, who was the last pitcher to throw a no-hitter? I'm like, oh, yeah, Kluber was a Yankee. That's what it's going to feel like.
You're going to have those memories on the float with him, man.
Unless that happens. That's true. Unless that happens.